Okay, we're going to go back into cardiovascular and talk about hypertension. Okay, a couple of different things. We have your basic hypertension, which is I-10. Okay, then we'll get into all these other different degrees. So one thing we want to talk about, causal relationships between hypertension and heart involvement, hypertension and kidney involvement, usually, well, they are assumed. You're looking at words like linked by, with. These conditions as related unless the documentation clearly states they are unrelated. So let's look at these. Okay, so hypertension, when we have just hypertension, basically basic hypertension, it's going to be the I-10. So if it's accelerated, benign, essential, idiopathic, malignant, systemic, it's I-10. Okay, those are all to I-10. Whether hypertension is controlled or uncontrolled does not affect this. So let's get into, sometimes you have secondary hypertension. This is caused by other primary disease, and it'll cause two codes. So you would go ahead and code the underlying cause, and then one code from category I-15 for the secondary. Hypertensive, okay? Let's go to the next section. Just read through the hypertensive crisis. Okay, we're going to go to hypertensive disease. Okay, so I talked about hypertension. Okay, hypertension. Hypertensive directly takes me to I-11. Okay, this is usually hypertensive heart disease that includes cardiomegaly, cardiovascular disease. The causal relationship between hypertension and heart involvement is assumed and are linked by the term with. So again, whenever it states cardiomegaly with hypertension, we assume that there's a relationship. If it states hypertensive, we assume there's a relationship. Kidney disease. Okay, but let's look here. It says hypertension and chronic kidney disease. We assume a causal relationship between the hypertension and chronic kidney disease. Okay, so if it reports as hypertensive chronic kidney disease, we go to I-12. Okay, I-12 does not include acute kidney renal failure. Okay, this is where I-13 comes in. So I-13, we have hypertensive heart disease and chronic kidney disease. These combination codes include hypertension, heart disease. A lot of times if there was heart failure, we need to code the additional I-50 code. If we need to code the stage of the kidney disease, of the chronic kidney disease, and that'll be N18. If both acute and chronic renal failure are present, we need to code both. So again, hypertension with other conditions, you're going to code them both out. Hypertension in pregnancy is a little bit different. We're going to be dealing with the O codes, so don't forget that. The other thing I want to just bring up is the elevated blood pressure versus hypertension. Keep in mind the blood pressure readings, they vary, and it could be because somebody has elevated blood pressure. If you're waiting at a doctor's office real long and it takes you a half hour to get in, you could work yourself up so much to have elevated blood pressure. It does not mean that you have hypertension. So keep that in mind. Okay, so on that note, I want everybody to go to exercise 27.6 and briefly go through there and tell me if it's going to be I-10, I-11, I-12, or I-13. So go ahead and pause the tape. Take time, just write down what you think. I'm not going to give you codes, but I'm just trying to walk through that with you. Okay, hopefully everyone paused the tape. You're back. Number one, we have left heart failure with hypertension. So it's going to be an I-11 code. 2, it's hypertensive cardiomegaly, I-11. 3, congestive heart failure with, again, since it's with hypertension and cardiomegaly, I-11. 4, acute congestive diastolic heart failure due to hypertension. We assume a relationship, I-11. Hypertensive heart disease, myocardial degeneration, I-11. We're going to jump over to 7. Cerebral thrombosis, moderate arterial hypertension. It doesn't say with, due to, so our code here is going to be the plain old I-10. Same thing with number 8. We have cerebrovascular disease and hypertension, so it's I-10. We don't assume there's a relationship. Same thing with number 9. We have coronary insufficiency. We have essential hypertension. We do not assume there's a relationship, so it's just I-10. And then number 10 is our last one. Since it states hypertensive, we go to I-11. Okay. Atherosclerosis of extremities, you can read through that. Pulmonary hypertension, the same thing. Same thing with the embolisms. Okay, the other big thing, because I'm not really going to go through procedures here, so I am going to talk about just your Z codes. These are really important, especially in the cardiac section. If a patient had a heart valve transplant, we need to state that. So you can go under presence of, sometimes status post. If a patient has a pacemaker, you need to put that down. They had a bypass, you need to put that down. So all of these need to be coded, especially in the heart area. Okay, so with the guidelines for PCS, I'm not going to cover them right at this point. If anybody has any questions on this video, please ask.